right, sir. Today is a Sunday, and this is Scully Sez podcast, and it's me and Patrick today. And here is the subject, sir. We're going to talk about cowardice, cowardice, and what we know as appeasement. Appeasement.
Okay.
Now, I have a couple questions for you, sir.
Sure.
First is who is Kitty Genovese?
I know that name. I don't know why I know that.
Sounds kind of Italian, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why I know that.
Well, country my old section, Queens, New York. And I believe the year was I believe it was 1968. And Kitty was being raped, and then being stabbed to death, you see. And it was reported by the New York Times that there were at least 24 people that had seen it and heard it, peeking out the window and so on. But they failed to do anything, let alone call the police and so on. Years
God
later,
forbid, right?
oh yeah, years later they did an investigation. Said, oh no, this is over-reported. It couldn't have been 24 people. It might have been 21. It might be 19. But certainly you've blown this thing certainly out of proportion. You see, and so Kitty Genovese was well taken care of, and her burial was timely. You see, so that was all right. Well, how about? I got another question for you, sir. How about Neville Chamberlain?
I'm not sure about that one. No.
Oh, Neville Chamberlain, this is 1938, don't you see? And Neville Chamberlain, he was the one who started.
He's the prime minister.
Oh, yes. And peace in our time, don't you see? Peace in our time. Now, what he did was he went over to Germany, and there was this little fellow. He wasn't much trouble. His name was Adolf. And Adolf said, well, I'd like to take over Czechoslovakia. And Mr. Chamberlain said, well, if you do that, then we won't have any trouble. Is that right? And Adolf said, of course not. All I got to do is take over Czechoslovakia because they got some German-speaking people there. And we'll take it over. We call it the Sudetenland, you see. We'll take that over and everything will be fine and we'll all live in peace from here on out. And so Neville came back, hoorah, hoorah, you see, to England and said, I've made a wonderful decision. I've talked with this little fellow by the name of Adolf. He can't cause any trouble. He's really a little character, and he might cause a little bit of trouble, but nothing to be worried about. And so he got peace in our time. And of course, there were the 8 million Jews that were killed, and then millions of others were killed along with that, along with hundreds of thousands of American troops and various troops. Not too many French people. They were all right. They went through France pretty quickly, and they took over all Eastern Europe. But not to worry because you see, this fellow, he was not going to do anything, and so he became known as a wimp. You see, a wimp. He caused the death of many, many people because he was cowardly and he was afraid, you see. Now, we go a little bit further. You know who Douglas MacArthur was, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. Well, Doug said, he said, you see this North Korea? We have some problems with North Korea. I say we kick the shit out of them right now, decimate their ass, and we'll have one Korea. But there was a man by the name of Truman who said, no, I'll tell you what to do, and you're fired, and don't ever come up with any crazy idea like that again, you see. So, I don't know, you're aware of the fact that North Korea has a nuclear bomb, are you?
I've heard tell, yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, now there's another player that people may not have. Well, I go a little bit further. You know, when you go on your public transit in the big cities in this country, or you go into any of these areas with the large groups of people, and somebody's causing trouble. You see, say you're on the train and there's some loudmouth threatening to beat the hell out of somebody. What you do is you look down at the floor, you look up at the ceiling, you see, but you certainly don't do anything, don't say anything, because, of course, you could get hurt, you see. And not only that, but you won't prevent anybody else from saying anything because they could somehow get you hurt anyway. You see how that goes?
Right.
So that's where we're going with this. So now we have this entity. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called Iran.
Yes.
Now, we have now Trump has got in there. He's bombed the crap out of these people, just bombed them, and they've been pretty much decimated. But they still have enough. They still have enough power to lob missiles and to put these drones in the air, and they're doing this in United Arab Republic, Israel, Dubai, any of the surrounding areas. They would try to do it to the United States, but it's too far away. You see, they don't have that capability yet, but they're getting close. You see, and so you have a number of people now are saying, "Oh my goodness, this should never have happened." There's the other day there was a little school that was hit, and inadvertently there a number of children were killed, which is a terrible thing. You see, of course it's a terrible thing. They neglected to point out the fact that the Iranians killed 40,000 people a week or two before that, and had been for many years. Have been chopping heads off and beating the hell out of people and torturing people and killing people. They neglected to point that out, but that's so. What these folks have
Well, I
done?
mean, sorry,
Yes.
just a quick aside. I feel like, yeah, like that's a thing that gets lost in this right now. Is like, I think that I think the argument could be made: what threat did Iran pose to us just latently? You know, like what, like previous to us getting involved with them, did we really need to? Is always the question, especially when we go to the Middle East.
Yep.
I would say not sure that we did, but obviously our biggest ally, or one of our, like, most one of the allies that we work with the most is Israel. They're right there, and very much it's not that way for them. There is friction there,
Yeah.
and so I think it had gotten to a point where we kind of just had to step in to try and, or at least that was the, like, Trump's idea was, I got to step in to protect this vested interest, or whatever. So I think I can understand the argument of, oh man, I don't know if we should ever get into it. I still get the anti-war argument. My thing is, though, is like you said with North Korea. Now the North Korean problem, if he starts, piping up again, is a totally different conversation. Now that North Korea problem is like a multi 100,000, if not multi-million casualty event in order to deal with a North Korea because they have a nuke. If they didn't have a nuke, you can go and, like, basically threaten them and stand there and be like, well, but we have this and you don't. And when a country does finally develop that, especially a country that's been, like, being held back from it for 50 years or whatever, it's not like the first thing they do isn't like, okay, well, now we have a nuke, so don't ever tell me what to fucking do. You know what I mean? And, like, that's what happens. And I think it's worrisome because uh we're we're poking a hornet's nest, which is okay because it's kind of like we're the people who do that. Like our country is the country that does that. But what you know the people, for the first time ever, like, it used to, and it was Afghanistan and Iraq. It was like, oh man, I don't know if we should be there. However, respect our troops, love our troops, whatever, bring them home safe, whatever. Now it's like the troops element of it doesn't matter. No one cares about the human part of it. No one talks about, like when people are criticizing the Iran war, like, the last thing is casualties that people are talking about, and it's like, it's just it's a weird split from the way that it's normally been, like, it's just a weird dialogue around it where people are almost being like pro-Iran as Americans, where you're like, dude, like, come on,
Well, sir, I hadn't thought about that, but it's good that you brought up Afghanistan because Afghanistan is actually an example of not only cowardice, but what they call extreme cowardice and extreme incompetency. Not only did we make ourselves look like fools, we ran, we left billions of dollars worth of equipment behind us. In Vietnam, with the equipment, what they did is before they left, they destroyed all the equipment or they sunk it into the China Sea or whatever they did, but they got rid of the equipment. Not so with the ran. We ran as though our hair was on fire, ran as quickly as we could to get away from it, and as a result, and I said Iran, but I meant Afghanistan. But as a result, we looked like fools, and this was Mr. Biden. You remember Mr. Biden. And Mr. Biden was the same person talking about cowardice who thought that it was a good idea to look the other way while millions of people came into the country. Don't you see?
Well,
Well,
and we are the repercussions of pulling out of Afghanistan the way they pull out of Afghanistan are right now in front of us, right? Like that, this is why this is happening. If you go into Afghanistan and at the very least, when you leave, you pick up, $1.2 billion worth of equipment and just dump it in the Red Sea. And there's just a pile of American tanks and missiles in the Red Sea that are all decommissioned. When you do that and then you leave, you're basically like, and not that it's a good attitude as a person, but as a country that has borders and people to defend, it is. But you're basically popping the basketball after, a BS foul gets called on you. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, well, we're not going to play fair. We're not going to be reasonable here. We're not going to work with this. All right. Everyone can go home. See ya.
well, but of course they didn't do that. They left all the stuff there.
No, they left the entire court. So they were all playing with their ball on their court. And we're just like sitting there like, whoa.
And they say that actually the Afghanistans are one of the best equipped militia in the world because they've equipped them.
Our dregs will do that.
Yes, so we did that, and we continue. Oh, there that filthy beast. And so he knows nothing about Afghanistan, and from what I understand, he doesn't give a damn about it either. He's one of those people that's contributing to the problem, and he is a people, I think. Anyway, so going back to that Afghanistan situation, though, so we've left that. We've looked the other way. We looked the other way we've looked the other way with the people coming in from the southern border. Now, one of the problems that bothers me with this cowardice and ineffectiveness and indifference is that they caused the problem. Mr. Biden caused the problem, don't you see? So it's sort of like a guy that's painting a ceiling with red paint, but he neglects to put down any covering on the white carpet that's underneath, you see. And so as a result, there's a lot of red flecks that are now on the carpet. Now you're trying to clean those red flecks out of the white carpet, don't you see? But the same fellow that neglected to put down the drop cloth is now criticizing the way in which you're trying to clean up those red flecks, don't you
Right.
see? Yeah. And so we're getting a lot of that today. We're getting criticism as to how we're trying to get these people out of the country, you see. It's a terrible thing how we're trying to get them out. But there's no criticism and no recognition as to how we let them in or why we let them in. How did that go down, you see?
Frankly, I think that the situation we're talking about is exactly why they were let in. When they were originally let in, I couldn't think of a single political reason why you would want that many undocumented immigrants here. And again, it's a matter of national security. Like this is not like some. I don't even. I'm not gonna. I would never debate it with someone. It's not a conversation we have to that you have to debate. Like
No,
it's a country. Citizenship matters. Taxing matters. Documentation matters. Those are we don't. We had to go back to third grade to learn why that stuff actually matters. You know what I mean? But like, it's like these are essential tenets of being a member of a country. You know, and to let millions and millions and millions of them, it's like why would you do that? Oh, because if you know that a conservative is going to win the next cycle, and you know that they're going to have to deal with the problem probably heavier handed now because you've actually quintupled the amount of illegal immigrants in the country. then you can just sit there and criticize them and make this like crazy like world where it's like, oh, hey, look at how evil these people are and horrible these people are and whatever. And then it's like, like the flip side is when you look at the other side of the coin, they're like doing these like underhanded tactics to make the world worse for you and I so they can push an agenda,
Yes. Well, they tend to mangle. They're trying to mangle reasoning too, because as a result, what they've done with these illegals is they seem to say they're contributing a tremendous amount to the country. They're not contributing a tremendous amount to the country at all. They're causing a tremendous amount of debt. The Somalians, for one, you hear people. I mean, it's almost as though you look at it. It's like you see a truck. It's coming at you. You see, and so what you want to do is you turn your head, and it won't hit you. But of course, it does hit you. Just don't see it coming. And that's the same thing with they're talking about these Somalians are saying that they're a tremendous asset to Minnesota. They've been unable to point to any reason. They're part of the American fabric. They've been unable to point to anything that makes them seem as though they're assimilating. They're unable to point to anything that says that they're contributing. They're unable to say that they're not defrauding the country out of billions of dollars. They're unable to say all these things, but they're saying that they defy logic. They just say to you, they're a tremendous asset to the country. I don't know where that comes from. And
Tim Wald's case, I think that it's because he can cycle in a fresh Somalian into his bedroom each night to do his work for him. If you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that Tim Waltz is a viewer.
Yeah, I don't, frankly, I don't know what Tim Walz is. To my mind, he's kind of a joke.
He's slimy. He's slimy. It's money. There's money that's making him make these decisions, not
Oh, I
reason.
think that might be true, but I think he's also the problem with him is not only is he slimy, but he's stupid. And so,
Yeah.
yes, if you're going to be slimy, you better be crafty. You better be slick.
Right.
See, but he's none of those things. He's just yeah.
He's the perfect not perfect, but he's a great other side of the coin of a Trump. Trump's also a scumbag. Don't get me wrong. No one here is like, oh my God, the virtues of Trump.
Well, yeah, yes,
But
yes.
it's if you're gonna be a scumbag and you're gonna be slimy, be slick. Yeah, that's you if you're gonna be a con man, you better be a good con man. Fool me once, right? That's the whole saying. The saying's not don't ever fool me. It's once you get caught fooling them, what happens,
Well, you're in Dave Chappelle territory, aren't you, sir?
I am indeed.
There you go, sir. And you've seen the latest Dave Chappelle, I think on Trump, have you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, have you I mean, he's funny. He talked about. He said, "This is the man. This is the man." He says Hillary says the system is corrupt. He says, "Of course it's corrupt. You made it corrupt."
Yeah.
He said,
she said, he says the system's corrupt. He says that I know it's corrupt because I abused it.
"Yeah, I don't believe he said abuse it. I think he said I use it. He didn't abuse it. He didn't say it. He said he used it. You say,
But you know what I mean? Like, then that's that. I mean, that's exactly why he became the president in the first place with stuff like that, because people were like, okay, cool. At least, like, again, if you're no one who's going to be the president is ever going to be a person that you are like, oh man, what a wonderful person. It's just never going to happen. That's not, to be that politically connected is a sucking life, an energy sucking life. But like, you just want somebody that gives it to you straight. But that. So when we're talking about letting a bunch of immigrants in, or talking about doing all that, this problem still relates to that Iranian problem too, right? Like all of these problems are like kind of to me a little bit interlinked. Like I never supposed to say like, oh, how much of everything is a conspiracy or how much what else, but you have to wonder like it wasn't just like Mexicans coming into the country is something that will be a problem forever, and it just is what it is because they literally are the next country over. Central Americans, kind of the same thing. They walk through. South America, same thing. You can like literally walk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So no big deal. Whatever. So obviously we don't we would prefer that they can come in legally, but not too many people are worried about Americans migrating to America. Like it's annoying. It's frustrating in communities like Texas, Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico. It's tough down there for them, but those people generally come here and try and integrate, right? What we are dealing with, the huge influx was the the South Americans were fresh. That was like a new thing, like having that amount of Haitians come in, that, or I guess South Americans and Islanders, having that amount of like Ecuadorians, that whatever. Fine. Great. Again, still in our hemisphere, still like if you're going to be a refugee on this side of the world, obviously the US is where you're going to end up. Cool. Fine. Makes sense. Whatever. It was the importation of every immigrant after that from Europe and the Middle East. That's where I like question if this was a conspiracy or if there's some sort of thing, because it's like, what would have been the best? Why would we have needed that amount of Somalians? What could have possibly been good? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't do good for black on white relations. It doesn't do good for black on black relations. It doesn't do good for white and black and what have you, and Muslim relations. You know what I mean? It's like all of these things are like tee you up, as these things unfold in the news. Like, we can go back and watch our episodes. You can watch it teeing us up to have a big war against Muslims or a Muslim country, and to like have rhetoric around it that makes it seem like it's not clearly what it is, because like, again, I firmly believe, if you go, like when we go back to the beginning of the show, what I said, I don't think Iran posed any idle threat to us. I think that we did it because they posed an idle threat to Israel, which, we can. Oh, that matters too, but
No, sir, I definitely disagree with you on that. I'll say this. First off, they had enough uranium to put 8 atomic bombs together. So they had that. Now, the other thing that they have is they have a tremendous amount of missiles, a tremendous amount. They've manufactured them.
They bought one from China too. They bought a hypersonic missile, and that much.
Yes, yes. And so the next thing was, and make no mistake, the next thing was they needed long-range missiles, don't you see?
That's what I was saying, is that's what they bought from China. That a hypersonic one. So
that is the threat to the United States. Now, they refer to the United States. This is a theocracy, so they don't usually deal with the things the way that most people do, rationally. So their idea is that they will kill you. That's their idea. They will kill you. They will kill you. They will kill everybody in the country who doesn't convert immediately to Islam. So they do have they were close to having the ability to bomb us, and it was no secret. I mean, they didn't say, it wasn't like Hitler saying, "No, I'll be good. I'm not going to do it." I certainly
no. It's totally, as soon as I get these, I'm gonna fuck with you with them. Yeah, yes, that's absolutely what it was. Yeah. But I guess my thing is, I think that the scenario, and I think everyone in the world stage knows this, but I think that the scenario in which you get another nuke dropped is to fuck with the United States. I think that's where that book opens and shuts, of where no one ever wants that to happen. That would be literally the worst possible thing ever, would be a nuke dropping again. You know what I mean? Because it just, so many more people have them, and it's just such a it's insane. But if that's those things, that's the threat. That was the whole point of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, was basically like, the next time you come sovereign, you know what I mean, this is what's going to be your punishment. We don't, you don't come and kill our citizens. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And so I think that there is a still like that, almost like a wall of fear among any country that's not like Russia doesn't give a shit, right? Russia doesn't care. China doesn't give a shit. They don't care. They'll do whatever. They'll use their people as a meat grinder. It doesn't bother them. But I feel like Iran, where Iran's strength lies strategically, is that it's impossible to invade, because it's just basically like infinite mountains. It's like just like it starts and it's mountains, and then it ends like right at like I'm gonna sound like an idiot here, but I think it's Kazakhstan or something is right above it, and it's like a mountain like hits the end, and then that's the border, and then it's like back to flat like desert. But they're just like literally on top of giant mountains. So they're I don't know. My thought process is I assumed, and again, a man assumes geopolitics and gets us into a nuclear war, so whatever. But I assumed that we would be lower on their priority list than a couple other targets they have in their area that would be a more immediate like threat to them.
Well, you've seen South Korea.
Right.
You've seen they have Kia. You see they have Hyundai. You see they have Samsung. You see they have the people are
Daewoo still kicking.
yes, they are living. Their standard of living is equal to that of the United States.
If not better, if not better.
Now you'll know that North Korea, the people are starving to death. People are
Absolutely.
starving. They're absolutely starving to death. Now, would it have been better for us to have united that country way back when it was possible, or should we have just kind of turned our head and pretend we didn't see anything and just let matters take, you know,
Well, yeah,
break
no, I
over?
think worst case scenario is what happened, right? We did go to Korea. We did have loss of life, loss of money, loss of whatever, and then we didn't even unify them. Yeah, I think that's the worst case scenario. Absolutely. I agree.
Actually, at that time, Russia was very weak. Russia posed no threat to anybody.
Because they were embargoed, right, for the preceding like 20 years or whatever.
Well, they were that they were basically almost defenseless against Germany. Germany Germany had no problem beating the Russians, except for one thing that the Germans had not accounted for. You know what that was, sir, dear?
The cold, right?
That is
Yeah.
right. The right winter. It was
But that was literally it. That is so true, actually. People miss that about World War II history. The people
yes,
who had the greatest loss of life was the Russian and the Chinese because they used
yes,
their people as a meat grinder.
yes,
And yeah, the Russians were getting smacked, like
yes,
getting smacked bad. It just
yes.
Mother Nature literally made it a ton.
They extended their lines too far, and they couldn't get through during the Russia winter, and that was the end of that.
And running two fronts,
Yes, yes,
that
that's true. And so what you have is failure to take action in a timely manner has put the world in a much worse position. Now, history repeating itself, people saying, "Hey, look, Iran is not that powerful right now. They've got the nuclear capability. In another 15, 20 years, they'll be able to annihilate us. But why would we do anything? Let's just turn our head the other way and pretend it's not going to happen, don't you see?" And so the mere fact that they get 8 or 9 nuclear bombs, it's really not that important because they've already assured us, you see, they've been assuring us for the last 40 or 50 years that they're not going to do anything, you see.
That's true. Yeah, and you're speaking from North Korea is definitely in my time period, but you're speaking from actually experience of seeing this happen. For me, you have to think other than North Korea, who has like largely been a non-factor, kind of a joke for the entire time I've been alive. Um, that it not this never nothing ever comes to pass. You know what I mean? Even after 9/11, we were over there doing what? Just like poking them, pinching them and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like everybody I've ever had who served over there and like, thank you for your service. It's all appreciated, all that, right? But everybody that I ever had that was over there, like their reality was like chilling on base, driving Humvees sometimes. You know what I mean? Like there was not to say that that's the reality for most people over there. There's plenty of people who are running crazy missions and sacrificing their life and all that. But a lot of people over there were not doing too much, and it just kind of surprises you. You're like, well, then what's the point? Like, it seems like such a high level of effort to keep them out there and to keep them trained out there, fly them out there,
Well,
whatever.
well, that was that became the way of handling things during the Korean War. After the Korean War, let's just cut our losses and run away, and
Right.
that's what we did. And then we came to Vietnam, and with Vietnam, the idea was we're not going to win the war. That was the idea going in. We're not going to win the war. What we're going to do is try to contain the war.
Mm.
We're going to come to a tie. That's the best we can do. It's just a tie. And so when it came time to do what was necessary, we didn't. And so we went in there. We lost a lot of lives, spent a lot of energy, wasted a lot of money, and came back with nothing. And most of the people that were there felt that it was a waste of time and a waste of effort because We gained nothing. We looked bad doing it, and we had no intention of winning the war, none whatsoever. And since that,
Is that so as someone who served in that, was that actually like the thought process going into it was like, oh, we're not even gonna win. Like we're just coming here for whatever.
yeah,
That's crazy. You know, like you have like even now they would do you the decency of making up a narrative. They would at least give you some narrative to go off of. But that's crazy.
it was actually worse than Korea. You see, with Korea, what they did was you have North Korea and you have South Korea. Yeah. Now in Vietnam, you had North Vietnam and you had South Vietnam. We don't have South Vietnam anymore.
Right.
Because what happened is they just came out and kicked the crap out of everybody. It took the whole country over. So now you've got one country, you see. So it's an escalating type of a situation. So you have after the Second World War we have Korea where we kind of left. After that we had Vietnam, we kind of left. After that we have Afghanistan, we kind of left. And now the only difference here is this guy Trump is doing something different, and people don't like it. What he's doing is say we're going to win this sucker.
Right.
We're going to kick the crap out of you. We're going to do something that has not been done in 80 years.
Well, and I think that first off, yes, if you're gonna get into a war, whereas if I agree or disagree with it, your goal should be to win. Your goal should be to win. If it's anything less than win, don't show up. I mean, honestly, it's why football is, loved the way that it is, because football is like war games on like a small and friendly scale, right?
Yeah.
And it's that same thing. Who's the coach that, Ditka hasn't coached the Bears since '85. Ditka could walk into any restaurant within 200 miles of Chicago, eat whatever he wants for free, do whatever he wants, And it's because you would run through a wall for the guy. He was like a general, you know what I mean? That's what you wanted. It's the same thing with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson may have been flower power, whatever, but when he was teaching them the triangle, you did not get out of your spot in the triangle, and I don't give a shit if you're Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You know what I mean? Like it's like they didn't care. And so like that's what you need. And so like even though I may disagree with the larger objective, the energy being put into it is absolutely right. You want to I don't disagree, but I'm just saying I can see how someone would disagree. That's fine. But you have to be happy that there's a president who's actually trying to win the war that they're getting into. The thing that I think is also crazy about it is this, like I said, this is a super mountainous reason. So I don't know what we would do, what we're gonna do to deal with it. But I will tell you that if this is something that we're able to get in and out within a year and a half ish tops, this is going to be like one of the greatest strategic victories ever, because Iran has never really been cracked. Like it is literally all mountains. It's like completely mountains. You know what I mean? Like it's just all mountains.
Well, we don't really care about those mountains.
No, but it covers the it covers the Arabian Sea where Dubai is here, and then I think it's like Tehran or something on this.
Yes.
So it's just like, you know what I mean? If we could put a base right here,
yes,
right across from Dubai, I mean that's there will not be issues in the Arabic Sea anymore, because it'll just be a U.S. base right there. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask the other question. Let's suppose we did nothing with Iran. Just let them do what they want to do. What would end up?
I mean, I'm sure that if you're Pakistani, nothing good would come of it. The Israelis probably would get some definite attacks for sure. I think it would be like a lashing out at a lot of people in the area would be the biggest problem, unless there's some sort of deal to be made. My assumption though is that Trump being Trump, for all of the negative stuff you can say about him, the one real big positive you can give him is if there's a deal to be made, even if he doesn't like the guy, like Zelensky or whatever, they'll go to the table 4 or 5 times and they'll have the conversation 4 or 5 times. Like he's not trying to make a deal. So I can't imagine that there wasn't some amount of like conversation between them and the Iran's administration before they decided, all right, you guys are like obviously not operating in good faith here, so we're just gonna,
Well, I think that's true, but I don't think it's just with Trump. I think that they've been operating with Iran now since 1948. And since 1948, Iran has been saying, no, we're not going to do anything. We're very peaceful people. And they as time has gone on, they become more and more bellicose, don't you see?
Well, and their biggest ally is Russia.
That's right, as well as China.
as well as China. Right? They're literally aligned with the two countries that are kind of like the countries. You know.
Well, and of course, they say that Iran has 30% of all the oil in the world.
Yep. That's why
And
gas prices are going freaking crazy right now.
yes, but again, you know who gets most of that oil? This place called China. You see, China is hurting badly right now because they're not getting the oil from Iran.
By the way, another one that just, when I say like conspiracy, I never want to get into greater crazy, because it's pie in the sky. There's so much interesting stuff to talk about that's real. That said, quite interesting that in South America, the place where there's massive oil reserves on our continent,
Yes.
is the country that we just installed our own leadership into, right before we get into a war with 30% of the world's oil. It's like very convenient that those happened in series so that God forbid Iran were to have to cut off all of its production pretty shortly after it would be supplanted with Venezuela's. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Venezuela, though, from what I understand, Venezuela is basically uh, uh, I'm trying to think of what I think it's was it Marathon? We have an American company that's down there, basically, that was controlling most of the.
Yeah, I think you might be right that it's Marathon, actually.
It might have been Marathon comes out of Ohio. Yeah.
Actually, almost all of them come out of Ohio now. There's a huge conglomerate, Speedway, Marathon, all of them are all
Yeah.
there now.
Well, Speedway, I think, is now owned by the Japanese.
Speedway was bought by, no, you're right. Speedway was bought by 7-Eleven, but
Yeah.
Speedway and Marathon and 7-Eleven are all the same company now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's right. There is but so what they say, the problem with the Venezuela oil is, it's very crude. It's not
Right.
good. It's
It
not.
needs a lot of refinement.
It needs a lot of refinement, and so that's why they
Chevron.
Chevron, exactly, Chevron, and so Chevron is very big down there, and so they would do it all the refining down
That
there.
makes so much sense too, because you do see Chevron in the South and stuff like that. Like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yes,
easier for them to be in Florida and stuff.
yes, yes. Well, Chevron, all these people at one time were part of the American Oil Company. Yeah, the Rockefeller, and they broke them up. They broke them up years ago, and so. But anyway,
Our good friends, the architects of our entire reality.
yes. Well, all right. Now, so now, getting back this around, here's the question, of course. So there's a lot of folks that say, well, this Trump has got us into the situation, and what is the end game? What's the end game? Well, who's going to take over? Is it going to be the old Shah? Is he coming in? Are they going to have elections? Something? Uh, I don't know whether we need an end game because anything is better than what we got or what's there right now. What's there right now is they're killing their own people, they're beheading people, they're beating the crap out of people. They're doing terrible things to people, and their idea is to take over the world. That's their idea. They've been decimated, and anybody else, it's sort of like you got a broken nose, you got your teeth knocked out, they've fractured a couple of your ribs, and you're saying to the guy, you're going to give up now, and the guy saying, no, we're never going to give up, and that's Iran right now. No matter how badly these people are damaged, and they're damaged very, very badly, the entire Navy has been sunk. They have absolutely no the airspace right now. They have no control over the airspace, and so Israeli and American planes are flying over there at will. So they have that. They have most of the missile places, most of the drone places have been obliterated.
Yep.
And yet these folks are still talking about they're going to do terrible things to the United States. You see, and so they do not.
Well, and again, though, like I was saying earlier, not doesn't have to be a huge greater conspiracy, but like when you allow a literally unlimited amount of Middle Eastern Muslims into the country directly before these things happen, threats like, I'm going to do something really, really terrible to the United States, and then we know that strategically, what could you really do? That when a terror attack happens and stuff like that, the blood should fall on the feet of an administration that just willy nilly let people in from any country that they wanted.
Well, here, this is a problem now. When you talk about conspiracies, there could be a conspiracy. I don't think there is a conspiracy, but I think that the result ends up being pretty much the same.
Right. Yeah.
Here's what we got. You have a very large Muslim population now in England. Very large, very large.
Muhammad is the number one name.
That is correct. You also have a very large Muslim population in France. Very large. They come from the French territories that they've had. Now, you also have a very large Muslim population in Turkey. You also have a very large population, Muslim population in Sweden. The crime rate has gone out of control. Swedes are being raped and beaten up, and but they have a crime rate they've never experienced before. Germany has a tremendous influx of Muslims. So Europe is being infiltrated with Muslims. So so if nothing is done with Iran right now, the influence of the Muslim population is increasing throughout the world, not only in Iran, not only in Iraq, not only in these other countries that some of them are friendly to us, but also in Europe. And so you have these people, you have these large swaths of the population in Europe that are very sympathetic to the Muslims. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, we've got some of that. We have some of that in the United States.
Yeah, we got plenty of that shit,
Yes.
and it's like,
Yes.
go ahead, sir.
No, I was gonna say it makes absolutely no sense. Take the Somalis; they've absolutely done nothing for the country. They've stolen billions of dollars, and you have these nutcakes, including Walsh and this other guy Ellis or Ellison, whatever his name is, the Attorney General for Minnesota, and the nutcake, the Jewish guy Fry, who is the mayor of Minneapolis, is supporting these Somalians who hate the Jews. Who, if they had their way, would annihilate not only the Jews, but they would annihilate this guy as well. He'd be one of the first to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same thing as the people who are like gays for Saudi Arabia or gays for Iran. It's like they behead you over there. Like they'd just like take your head off their body. So like, why are you pro these people? But the answer is, again, I hate to bring it's word of the day today, I guess, but that's what that's conspiracy. I don't mean like a conspiracy theory. I mean like a larger overarching conspiracy. I think that I know it's crazy, but it's just there's been these polling of language and polling of behavior and this juxtaposition of morality with political views these days that have made it like almost untenable to have a conversation with someone about foreign affairs and immigration. Like it's a minefield, dude. Like I couldn't say, like, this is something I'll say it's totally true, but I would not say this in front of a bunch of people at work. But like I've literally never met a single person who I've ever been like, this topic of Somalians have been brought up and a positive reaction has ever been elicited. It's never happened. And I'm not saying that there's not positive Somalians. I used to play soccer against a team called Horizon Science Academy, and there was a huge Somalian population there, and they were very cool. They were some of the coolest competitors we ever had, like giving tips on the field, super technique, like whatever. So there is, I'm not saying that there's not merit in the community. Of course there's merit. Every people has merit. Every people, whatever. Every culture has merit, honestly. But largely, when people are faced with interacting with people of Somalian descent, and more specifically, like directly from Somalia, they have a bad, a raw deal of it. It feels like there's something trying to be gotten over on them, or it feels like being taken advantage of a lot of the time. And that's just a general sentiment from Black people, from other Muslim people I know, from white people, from whatever. This is like a thing that I've talked to people about because I find it insane that everyone has this unified opinion, but everyone that I've talked to does. And so when it's like that, you should be able to address that. And this is what I'm trying to get at. Is you should be able to address that, but you can't, because that would be, dismissive of that group of people, or that would be destructive to that group of people, or that would be like harmful language, and so like moving these goalposts ever further away from being able to have a discussion about what makes society good or what makes society bad, has just allowed it to continue as the problem to be punted further and further and further.
Yes, well, that's true. Well, let me ask you this: as far as Somalia is concerned, how many Americans do you know that are interested in immigrating to Somalia?
Not many.
Yeah.
Maybe Tim Walz. Maybe Tim Walz.
And how many? Actually, not only Americans, but the Somalians don't want to immigrate there. They want to go back. Nobody wants to go back there. No. So they want to send money there, and they somehow they have this allegiance or something, this crazy allegiance. But
This allegiance to the country they're not going to live in.
yes, the country that they ran away from. Yes, they have this, and so, but that's the problem is that I see is like you're saying, there is there is a cowardness in that we do not want to face the issues.
Right.
We even in places like trying to enforce the law, we don't want to do that. You see, because the people that are against it are people with nose rings, blue hair, uh, you with me? Tattoos up and down their arms. You see, yeah. Funny ears. And tattoos on the face and so on.
And that's another one, by the way. The tattoos.
Yes.
Let me crack into that for a brief moment here. You're not tough because you have tattoos. You're not instantly cool because you have tattoos.
Yes.
You don't need to signal to other people that because you have tattoos, you might fit into their group because they have tattoos.
Yes.
Those are the only reasons I can think of, man. And I'm fine with it. Whatever. Get one, don't get one. Fine. Great. Whatever. But like when I was growing up and you saw someone with tattoos, it generally signified, damn, that might be a badass right there. You know what I mean? Now that dude might have gone through some shit. Nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, I got my sleeves tatted up, and you're like, oh, sick. Like, what do you do for work? Oh, I live at home with my parents. I don't actually work.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, that was.
You have to earn those things. You can't just fucking have them. You know what I mean?
Well, we always looked at that when I was growing up. That was not known as tough. That was known as low class. Those are
Sure.
those are kind of scummy people, and so guys that came back from the war and they had these tattoos. They usually had American flags on their arms. They had mom on their arm. They had a heart with a sword through it, or some nonsense like that. And they say, "Oh yes, well I was drunk. I got drunk and I was on leave and I got a tattoo." You see, I you wouldn't expect me to get anything like this if I was sober, would you? And but as time has gone on, I suppose it's it kind of it's supposed to show that there's a toughness or a roughness about you, but it's a pretty sad commentary that you have some 98-year-old girl with the tattoo on her face, and some big cop grabs her and is dragging her away, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs, "You're hurting me! You're hurting me!" This is not somebody who's but the point being, these people are what they're doing is they're undermining us much the same way. It's not that much different from what's happened throughout the years with the different countries we've been mentioning, and it's all ended up uh, by trying to go against the ruling, against those people that are trying to establish order. Anybody that's going against that, it's always ended up uh, to be hurtful to the society in which they've done it, not helpful. And so you can look at Iran, you can look at Iraq, you can look at South Korea, you can look North Korea, you can look at China, you can look at Russia, you can look at yeah, certainly you can look at Cuba. They say the only people right now that are doing well in Cuba are people that are related to a family known as Castro.
Right.
Those folks are still doing all right. They say they have a blackout now. They can't afford electricity. People are eating out garbage cans, but they're about to collapse. And the same thing again.
I assume they become a U.S. territory within the next couple of years here. I would imagine.
Well, they were. You know
I
that.
know. Yeah.
They were, and they decided that as did the Philippines. They
Yep.
said the same thing. They decided that they would be better off, and as a result,
Really benefited the Philippines. It's been really good for the Philippines.
yes, that's right. And and actually, even Puerto Rico, they had a large group of people that wanted to secede from the United States and become a private country.
They got
Well,
lucky that did not happen.
yes, because
When we were in St. Thomas, they lost power for 8 months after Hurricane Ira, maybe I can't remember, but
Yeah.
after one of the hurricanes,
yes,
they lost power for 8 months. It was 2 days for Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is not even 100 miles. Like it's like 60 miles from St. Thomas. 2 days. So that's the difference. Territory versus like essentially de facto state territory. You know what I mean? That's what happens. That's St. Thomas is even a territory, and it takes in that line to get stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like you get lower and lower in the order of operations, the less oversight you want from the government you're asking help from. That's the way that it goes, you know?
yep,
So
exactly.
no oversight, no help.
So yeah, again, I can't. When you think about the United States, it we're not. We don't go out killing people.
No.
We don't kill people, and yet you have these people that are protesting that we're somewhat inhumane in these various regimes that kill people.
Well, because those people, that's kind of what I'm saying is like that's a symptom of this the tattoo thing. Is these kids are I know that this is firsthand experience and this is true. These new kids have social media ruined their brains so bad, and COVID, for example, ruined their brains like so bad that they just want results and have zero interest in the work. Whereas like someone like me, like I want the results way more than I want the work, which is bad, but I can make myself do the work in order to get the results. These kids can't. They legitimately are incapable of it. That's why they're all tattooed up. Listen, if trust me, there's a reality in which I would be completely tattooed up, right? I appreciate the aesthetic. I travel in circles of people that are tattooed up all the time, from extreme sports and car stuff and everything like that, whatever. But I didn't have the money to, and I wasn't keen to be saving up my Christmas money and doing that. I bought things that I felt made my life better. When I had the ability to do stuff, I tried to leverage it to have things that made my life better. And that never cracked the code because I didn't need to signal to people who I was based on what my arms look like. I could just like be that person. These people don't even want to put in the self-actualization of work to become that person. So when you're talking about Iran and you're saying like, how do we deal with Iran? They're a problem because they're doing this to all these other people. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to be morally right. You know what I'm saying? They just want to be morally right. And so they think, well, morally right is the person who's a darker shade than me and who's not the majority in my country. They must be always morally right in every situation. And that's true. Like that is really the way that they think, because rather than ever have the introspection or ever develop the thought, they're just going to like repeat the thing because they just want the credit for saying the right thing. They don't care about actually thinking the right thing.
Well, the Iranians are actually somewhat light, and they're. I think they say Aryans. There's an Aryan background to the Iranians. Now, what I'm thinking though, if things get really, really bad, sir, really bad, and somehow the Iranians take over, if you would get yourself a one of those things you put on your head and so on.
A kufu?
Yes, with that beard that you have, you see, you could pass as a young mullah.
I had to.
If you had, that's what I'm saying.
I had to.
As a young mullah, you see, and then you'd be able to do what a lot of these people have done. You see, take the easy way out and just pretend. You see, it's the
Salam alaikum, Habibi.
yes. You know it's in the Bible. This is biblical. Now you know the biblical part of it. You remember there was a fellow by the name of Peter. You know what Peter did, don't you?
What's that?
You don't remember what St. Peter did, sir?
Well, he was the rock. I know that.
He was before that. Before he was a rock, he was kind of like the pebble, you see. And what he did, you see, is when his buddy Christ was about to be crucified, he ran away. Don't you see? They called it 3 times the 3 denials. And so there was this lady that called him out and said, "Hey, man, you're one of them. You're one of these folks." And he said, "No, no, no, no. No, I don't know the man. I never met the guy. I don't know nothing about him." Yeah. So that was Peter, you see. So, yeah, so that's what they call the denial of Peter, you see. So it goes back, it's ancient. You may not realize this, sir, but Christ and Peter and all these apostles and St. Paul and everything, they came from this area called the Mideast.
Right.
Yeah,
From right. From right.
and
That's
so
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of these things that have gone on 1,000 years ago, they're still going on today. It hasn't changed that much. There was a joke about the Middle East, and this is the problem that you have with the Middle East. There was this duck. Did we talk about the duck that was on the river?
No.
And, well, he had the scorpion. He was on the other side, and he said,
the frog and the scorpion.
Parables, yeah, I want to get over. Yeah, I want to get over. Yeah, gotta get over the other side.
Yes.
And he said,
I was talking about this literally 2 days ago. That's why I'm thinking of it right now.
yeah, to halfway through, and the scorpion bit him, killed him. He said, "We're going to die now." He said, "Yeah,
It's in my nature.
yeah." He says, "Well, yeah." And what I heard was, well, of course you had the, yes, the what I heard was, "Well, why would you do that?" He said, "Well, this is the Middle East." Yeah, you see this? Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You see,
It's true though. It is true.
Oh, yeah.
And really, and that yeah, absolutely. I mean, my entire life, most of your life, that's just been turmoil. It's just like, dude, like at a certain point, you lose the right to police yourself. You don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to do your job. Fine, but like, war has consequences for everyone else. I've always expected to take the refugees from wartime, that we get to step in and say, "All right, you're done." You know what I mean? You're done. We're done with and like, I don't know. I worry about how much we're being like Israel's watchdog and stuff. I worry about that stuff.
Well,
You know.
here's the problem now. Iran. 50 years ago was a very prosperous country.
Oh yeah.
Very prosperous. Yes, yes.
Like,
Yeah,
leading scientists, and
yes.
doctors.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And you had women running around, high heel shoes on, skirts, blah blah blah. Bleached blonde hair.
You're like totally like free
Very
women.
westernized. Yes, very westernized.
Persia, right? Was it Persia? Persia that?
Well, that's a sort of, yeah, and they were doing very well. You see, and so I just don't understand. So they were doing very well, and there's another place called Cuba. You see, Cuba 50 years ago, they were doing very well. They were on top of the world. They were corrupt, just like Iran. They were corrupt, but they were doing very well. And so this guy comes in, Castro. He's going to clean house. He's going to help. He's going to straighten everything out, you see. So now he's got people eating out of garbage cans. Well, and there's another country that's doing extremely well. That country was named Venezuela. They were also doing very well. They at one time had a level of living that was equivalent to the United States.
Absolutely.
But of course, you had these clowns come in there, and they ruined it. But you have Korea, where you have South Korea doing extremely well, and you have North Korea that the same thing. People are starving to death, and yet these people, you have these nitwits on the street saying, "Let's." You got people like Mandami saying, "Let's make New York like North Korea. We can really do great things. We can have a people's market. We can have free housing. Well, you can't have free housing because somebody's got to pay for it.
Yep.
Somebody's got to pay for it. So
foresight.
yes, but of course, what we're doing is we're looking the other way, are we not?
That would appear to be.
Or seeing things that we want to see.
Yeah.
Twisting the facts so that they serve our own purposes. But
crafting a narrative.
Yes. So I guess we get back to it. You can't keep running away from things, because eventually, regardless, If you have a health condition and you ignore it, it's going to get worse. If you have a country that has a problem and you ignore it, it's going to get worse.
Absolutely.
And so ignoring the problem uh, doesn't help anything. And
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You have to tackle it head on because it's just it's a cycle, and the cycle is gone on too long. You know what I mean? It's
well,
too long.
don't you think? I think in everybody's life, you try to ignore a lot of things. You ignore them with the hope that things are going to get better, but of course they don't get better, and the reason they don't get better is because you're ignoring them.
Ignoring them. Yep.
And
As soon as
isn't
you
that what?
address them, it's literally a conversation I had with one of my employees yesterday. Was he was talking about someone crossing a boundary of his and how it made him feel, and the reason he was talking about it is because I brought up he had an issue with one of my other employees, and I ended up letting that employee go because it was a big enough issue and their apology wasn't sufficient. But I was telling him, you did yourself a disservice by not clearly communicating to that employee before I ever had to get to them and discipline them and saying to them, hey, you were inappropriate and you made me feel bad. And now I don't want to be on shift with you because you made me feel uncomfortable, whatever. And so he was like linking these two things together. And then we were talking about his response being such a knee jerk. He got so mad. And I was like, well, I'm not bringing up the thing that's making you so upset. That's you who brought that up. And he's like, well, when you bring this up, it makes me think of that. And I'm like, right. But you're in control of that ultimately, right? Like you are the person who dictates if me saying something makes you think of something that is bad that happened in your life, that's on you. But like everyone has skeletons in their closet. We're looking across at Michael, my manager. He buried his mom 3 years ago. He buried his best friend 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I buried my brother. You buried a grandson, and I'm an innumerable amount of friends and family yourself. You know what I mean? He's Simon is young. He's 18. And he doesn't understand some of the longer term things. And so when he's like, well, how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that? I'm sure there's things that bother him. So whatever. You don't have an answer. The answer is sometimes that you just work through it. You just, for lack of a better term, thug it out. Like you're the master of your own emotions. You're in control of how you feel. And in a larger scale and like a global scale, that's exactly it. Like we're the US, we can sit around and not worry about whatever, but we're the master of this reality at the moment. We're the ones who have the guns, ammunition, manpower, R&D money, what have you. And so like we have to like attack these problems in ways that may be uncomfortable for us, but so that the problem doesn't keep arising. Like we can't have mental illness on a global scale. It doesn't work, you know?
Yeah. Oh, we made this country. And when I say we made, people before us made this country. They did things, you see. They did a lot of things. There was a lot of hard work, and they made this country into what it was. So now the answer is not to do nothing and to just say that we're a pretty powerful country and that we don't have to do anything because nothing's bad is going to befall us, because that's not true. And the only reason that we are the great country that we are is because people before us did great things. And that's the reason a lot of these other countries are failing, because the people before them did not do great things. And
Ford came
people,
here and did great things.
yes, well, those people that want to do things came here because this is a place that you can do things.
Yep.
And and so you have these people that will complain about what we do. They say, "Oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. You're doing stuff, and we don't like you doing stuff." So I think about the last 4 years, or the last the Biden administration. I think about that, and y- you know, we got ourselves in a very bad situation because it's not what we did; is we did nothing. You see,
Right.
we did absolutely nothing. We did nothing with the border. We did nothing with that. We did nothing with our foreign adversaries.
Yeah, we
Uh,
punted 4 years
yes,
of
yes.
policies.
Yes, and so we had, and anybody and the only thing that was really done, the only thing that was done that I can think of during that last 4 years was trying to get Trump. That was the only thing I could think about, was trying to get Trump, doing everything
Couldn't even do
possible.
that.
They didn't even do that. And now that he's back, they failed to do that. The same thing. But and they're complaining about Trump right now, saying that what's the end game? My question to them is, what is your end game? I mean, you're saying that Trump is doing this. What would you do? Well, they would do nothing. That's their
Absolutely nothing.
as the solution. They would do nothing. You say, well, what are you doing with Minnesota? You're trying to force these people out of the country. What would you do? We would do nothing. Or, but what would you do with the border? We would do nothing. What would you do with the inner cities? With people being killed. The murder rate is now the lowest rate that it's been in 50 or 60 years. What would you do? We would do nothing. What would you do? Yeah, and so I think it brings us back full circle. There's a cowardness there of sorts, and it's just that we stick our head in the sand and pretend that it's not going to happen, and so it won't happen. But of course, it is happening, and bad things are happening to people that don't take affirmative steps. Yep.
I think, what is it? I don't know the actual parable, but it's someone who can't fight isn't being peaceful. They are a coward. It's the ability and the capacity for violence or for defense, self-defense, and holding it back. That restraint is respectable. Not being able to defend yourself, so you just never, ever, ever get into a physical situation or a shouting match or whatever, you're a coward. And that's the problem. The problem is that the left is totally fine to be a coward. That as a regime, I know the people aren't, but as a regime, they don't mind that.
Well, I think a lot of people are too, but it's just they used to have the saying, "A hero dies once, a coward dies 1,000 deaths." But I don't think that's necessarily true today, because I think the coward has gotten so used to being cowardly that it's not a big thing to be a coward. It's not a shameful thing. Yeah, no, I'm gonna, it's sort of like my old man used to tell me, if there's a bully and he's pushing everybody around and he comes up to you, he's going to push you around. The best thing you can do is haul off and punch him in the face as hard as you can.
Yep.
That's the best thing you can do. If you don't, he's going to kick the crap out of you, and he's going to kick the crap out of people that follow you. I mean, that's the way bullies are. So sometimes you just have to stand up and do things that are very distasteful, not because you want to do them, but because you have to do them or should do them. So have we solved the world's problems at this point, sir?
I'd say.
All right. Well, there's two of us then. So and so you might say that we're starting a conspiracy of sorts, right? We start with 2, and then the next thing it ends up with 4, and then 8, and then because
Well, like said.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want to say? You want to tell people about Spotify?
I will say thank you for watching this episode of the Scully Sez podcast. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, the podcast apps, and what's the last? Oh, TikTok. Am I right, Tony? Am I
YouTube right? You said YouTube?
Yep, YouTube is the same.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so cool. That's I think it's 5 things. So thank you guys. Like, subscribe, follow, give us feedback. Both of our emails are Scully Sez Pat and Scully Sez Tom at gmail.com. Just give it a rip and let us know what you think.
Oh, one further thing I must say to you, sir. I've brought this up before, and I'll bring it up again on TikTok. Yes, the women are still following me. As much as I'm trying to keep a low profile, keep moving, they're tracking me down. All the young ones, they can see that I'm lonely, that I need companionship. They can see these things. You see?
You want the money?
Oh, there you go. I see. Sir, wait a second. Now, now you're the way you're looking at it is not right. You don't see my animal magnetism. You see, that's where you're lacking. See, Yes, see, I can't have anything to do with them trying to squeeze a couple bucks out. I can't believe that.
No. No.
All right. Well, on that high note, we'll leave it. Okay.
All right. Nice talking to you.
All right.